لله رب العالمين صلى الله تعالى على خير المرسلين آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. All praise are due to Allah, Lord of the world. Peace and blessings be constantly sent upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad, his family, his companions, all those who follow his way and establish his sunnah to the day of judgment. As to what follows, my beloved brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
And I want to bring you salams from your brothers and sisters in the Cape region, the Western Cape in Southern Africa. There, alhamdulillah, is a strong community of Malay Muslims, Indian Muslims, East African Muslims, who were carried there in a state of slavery and exile. Even though they were far away from their homes, they were able to maintain their Islam. And now, alhamdulillah, in Cape Town, there's 150 masjids, and Islam is alive. Also, I want to bring you salams from your brothers and sisters in Toronto, Canada. Toronto has become the largest center of Islam in the whole of North America. Muslims from all parts of the world are there. One of the phenomena that's going on is that young Muslims are coming together all over North America and the UK and now Australia, and it is spreading to different parts of the world to try to understand Islam, to try to go back to the authentic sources, to try to make Islam relevant to their lives in the 21st century. And one issue that we have been discussing over the last few days here in Singapore is the fact that Muslims today have a large number. They make up over 26% of the Earth's population. We have some of the richest people on Earth. We have large armies. We have intellectuals. We have information. But something is missing. Even though we have a lot of wealth, we still have a great amount of poverty. We have great armies, but we are still facing humiliation in Palestine and waiting for Masjid al-Aqsa to be opened up. We have great scholars, we have books, but still many of the scholars argue over trivia, over fluor, over minor issues. They are the same on the usul, on the basic fundamentals. And so, in this quest for the internal Muslim, that energy, that spark that we need in order to bring alive the body of Islam, we recognize that there needs to be a change inside of ourselves, our hearts, and our minds. And Allah Azza wa Jal tells us in Surah Al-Ra'd, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. Allah will not change the condition of a people until they change that which is in themselves. Now, part of our change that we need to go through, along with the diseases of the heart, take pride out of our hearts, and jealousy, and anger, and envy, and conceit, and react, doing things to show off. But another issue which has come to the surface is that because of years living under a colonial regime, where our educational system was not developed by our scholars, we have recognized that Muslims and many people in the so-called third world have developed a low self-esteem. And so there is a need for us to reanalyze history itself, geography itself. As they are saying to you in this discussion in Copenhagen, they say the developed countries and the underdeveloped countries. They will say the first world, the second world, and the third world. But yet when you look at history, the ancient Egyptians had a powerful civilization in 3000 BC. And by 2400 BC, they had built the Great Pyramid with 2,800,000 blocks of granite inside of one structure. They had right-angle geometry. Zero was understood in Egypt, in India, in ancient China. Great leaps and bounds were made in knowledge. And at that time, the only spark of knowledge was coming out of Greece. And that was not until around 600 BC. So where is the first world? The first world is actually not in Europe. The first developed parts of the world are in other regions, the great rivers in other parts of the world. And civilization began to spread until it reached Europe, and it reached many different parts of the world. And so, in this quest, we recognize there's a lot of information that needs to be deconstructed. Means you have to take it apart. And we discussed a very simple statement today, earlier, that we have been brainwashed with for many years, and maybe you have yourself. They told us Christopher Columbus discovered America in 1490. You ever hear that before? Well, the question is, as we have discussed this earlier today, the question is, how can you discover a place when people were living there for 20,000 years? When there were great pyramids, great civilization, how can you write that you discovered? And so, we recognize that this sentence, this concept, needs to be taken apart and put back together with proper information. So, the discussion becomes not his story, because when we talk about history, it's not his story, you get it? It's our story. That's what we want. We want our story. And in the real reconstruction of history, I would write that Christopher Columbus was discovered in 1490. He was lost, and he bumped into America on his way to India. He thought the people were Indians, so he called them Indians. It's not Indian. And he recognized this himself. But history went on to talk about the great voyages of discovery. And so now, Muslims are realizing that we need to reanalyze our own history and tell our own story. And so tonight, I want to bring some information to you concerning Islam in Europe. It is Muslim presence in Europe. And this is in a place called Al-Andalus. Andalusia, they say in Spanish. Al-Andalus, which was the Iberian Peninsula of Spain and Portugal. And this actually is part of a course which is being taught in Cape Town and is now being spread around the world. It is part of a course. And so I'm going to bring you into this, and I'll put on some slides for you. It's a lot of information. I'll try and break it down for you. We'll have a chance for questions and answers. And to make it easier to take in, I've put in pictures of some of the actual places that we have discussed. So in this area here, we understand, and looking at this map, that in the early spread of Islam, and here, can you see the pointer here on the map? Here is Mecca, here is Medina. We see Islam spreading and going to different regions. We see a hijrah going across Ethiopia, and Islam going north. Now, what is important to realize is that the Roman Empire attacked the Muslims from the north. When the Emperor Heraclius understood the formations going on, the discussions going on, he organized a large army, and the Prophet ﷺ and his companions went out to a place called Tabuk. Well, the Romans never showed up. Hostilities continued in the north. On the eastern side, in Persia, on the eastern side, the Persian Empire also attacked. And so, in response to the attack, Muslims then began to open up land, not with the intention of spreading Islam, but with the intention of stopping oppression. And while they were doing it, people started to come into Islam in large numbers. And so, the Roman Empire, which had controlled the Mediterranean region, called the Byzantine Roman Empire. This is the one that was based in Constantinople, but is now Istanbul. This was the Romans. And so a response was given to the Romans. And now we are discovering in a recent research done by a brother, Father Suleiman of Egypt, in going into the text, he realized that the Prophet ﷺ, when he wrote the letter to Heraclius, he told him, accept Islam. If you do this, you will be lifted from the sin of the Arisiyin. He used the word Arisiyin. That if you accept Islam, then you will not have the sin of these people who are living amongst you. If you don't accept Islam, you're oppressing these people. Who Who are the Hadithiyin? Research has shown us now these are the followers